Imagine year 1772. Haydn was working for his patron, Prince Nicholas Esterházy, and together with the Esterházy Orchestra, they spent long months away from home, that was Eisenstadt, in the prince's favorite, yet remote castle, which was in Esterházy. Today, these two towns are only like an hour of drive apart, but back then, it was a whole day of journey by carriage. The musicians, they felt like they were in exile, lost, hopeless, and they wanted to return. Haydn put the request into music. In the Farewell Symphony, the players stopped playing, stood up, and left the stage, one after the other, until only the last two violinists whispered the final note. The message was unmistakable, and the prince did get it because soon after he let everyone return home. In Haydn's age, the conductors didn't start the part with the platoon, but they were part of the orchestra. Haydn himself usually played from the violin, the piano, guiding with small gestures and trusting the attentiveness of his players. In the case of the Farewell Symphony, it was the same thing. Haydn was one of the last two violin players on the stage at the original performance. So this was a shared act between conductor and orchestra. This shows how great leader Haydn was, witty in invention, and also caring for his people. A leader leading by example. In Haydn's age, the usual orchestra sizes were around 50 to 60, more only on special occasions. Today, the Philharmonic Orchestra, the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra, has a roster size of 145. Haydn would definitely be astonished to see that many players. And imagine how astonished I was when I received the task and the responsibility to lead 3,000 musicians. At least that's what it felt like when I was appointed as a cultural transformation leader for 3,000 employees. This was back 3 years ago. Following a major spin-off, we launched what became the world's largest startup. Tens of thousands of people on day one. At a local level, I was responsible for translating this brand new cultural identity for more than 3,000 colleagues, with no time to waste. It was in 2022, so still COVID times, and we just spun off from a company that's also referred to as Big Blue, a brand and a name even your grandmother would recognize, and soon we became Cringeal. And behind us was this century-long cultural legacy, musical legacy in this case, and ahead of us was the unknown, the curiosity of the unknown. And what happened was that our leaders, our enterprise leaders, were figuring it out what do we stand for? So what they did, the enterprise leaders, the global leaders, led a 3-day culture jam, and also followed by roundtables with employees and customers alike, to define just that. What do we stand for? So in that way, our values were born. And this was our sheet music, the written guidance in what to play. This was our set of values. Now, what do we stand for as a company? We, Kyndryl, we are supporting and servicing many of the firms from the Fortune 100 list. We support more than 60% of the outsourced mainframes globally. By mainframes, think about these highly reliable IT solutions that the airline industry or the financial industry uses. So this is what we stand for. And we had the values up on the PowerPoint. And the key moment was the realization that putting them on the PowerPoint doesn't magically make them a reality. This was where we were aiming for, but we weren't there yet. So in order to establish that culture, what happened was that our Chief Transformation Officer, Nal Akot, personally visited us and shared and discussed this culture and the new strategy locally with the 150 managers in the country. Nal also led by example, just like Haydn did. And then Nal returned back to New York, and the challenge stayed. So Nal was with us in May 2022, and when she left, summer kicked in. So I was sitting in my garden with a coffee, paper, pen in front of me, which is my usual creative setup. And I was thinking about how to get this right. So how to turn 3,000 players into harmony. How to create the harmony. And is it possible at all? Because the number 3,000, that's closer to an audience size, like you here, than to an orchestra. So how to do that? And how to turn the values fresh from the PowerPoint into a lived reality. And also knowing that only 12% of large-scale change initiatives have lasting results. And by lasting, here in these studies, it meant more than 3 years. 12% isn't much, right? Here, maybe we would have the front rows, then maybe the 3 tables there. Congratulations, you made it. All the rows back to the top. Nice try, maybe next time. And I knew that I wanted us to be in that 12%. I wanted us to succeed. And I also realized, because I was talking to some of the managers, that even after 2 weeks of Nal's highly inspiring session, it was not that easy to record the messages. So I knew that I needed to build a system around our managers. And I realized I have 3 options. Option 1, lean in on the senior leadership team. So have a well-crafted message distributed to our employees, all unified. Everybody's getting the same message. Yet, culture is a lived experience, so sending it down in communication might not have the right impact. So let's take a look at the second option. The second option was a central communication. So having a professional team. Well, internally, we did not have so many professional players or trainers, but we can contract externals, right? And however, the question is, would they understand the depth of what we were discussing? And where would be the ownership? Then let's take option 3. Option 3 was lean in on the leadership team and give the ownership to the managers, have them translate the messages to their teams. This would definitely take longer because, well, managers are not trainers by default, but I was really sure that this would be long-lasting. So I'd built a system around the model around senior leaders, managers, and ambassadors as volunteers, ambassadors supporting the other ones. So let's take a look at these players. And this is a question to you. So what about our leaders? What percentage of CEOs would rather quit than lead a large-scale transformation project. What do you think? We have three options: 7, 19, and 38%. So who is up for 7%? Okay. Who is up for version B? 19%. Okay, more. Okay, who is up for 38%? Okay, quite some. Okay. The right answer is C, 38%, which is shocking, right? Okay, second level of players. What about our managers? What variance in team engagement is determined solely by the manager? And we have options 50, 60, or 70%. So who is up for 50%? Okay, no one, good. Who is, oh, one, okay, yes, thank you. Who is up for 60%? Okay, some. Who is up for 70%? Majority, yes, you're right. 70% of team engagement is determined solely by the manager. A lot, like really very impactful. Okay, last one, and this is gonna be tricky. We are looking for a threshold, a percentage. So transformation with at least this percentage of employees owning part of the transformation are twice as likely to succeed as those below. So if you have this many percentage of employees with you owning the transformation, you're doubling your chances of success. So options, 7%, 19, and 38. So who's for 7%? I see some hands there. Great, great, great. Okay. Who's for 19? Okay, more. And who's for 38%? Okay, more. Okay. The right answer is A, 7%, which means if you only involve 7% of your employees in your transformation, you're doubling your chances of success. That's very powerful, right? Okay, so let's see what we did. So I knew, oops, okay. So I knew what I wanted to do. I had the model in mind, but I needed to get my stakeholders aligned. And first I turned to our managing director. He was bought in. Then I turned to our senior leaders. I was part of the group. They were my peers. And they had the motivation. They understood that this culture transformation was important to differentiate us from where we were coming from. Also, they understood that in order to be leaders, they need to have followers. And, well, we had a very strong, long-lasting trust relationship, so they trusted my approach. Then let's take a look at the ambassadors. Because the whole model rested on having enough employees as ambassadors, volunteers. And I was thinking, who would want to join us? Why would they join them? I mean, would we have enough volunteers? And then I was asking around some people that I knew would be joining, and the leaders were doing the same. And soon we had a core ambassadors team and an extended team. And we saw people, for example, Peter. He was really ready to join, ready to do something for this brand new company, and really committed to do and join us. Then we had people like Esther, who wanted to use her creative mindset, approach, wanted to train. She was the one coming up with the gamification idea. She developed it and implemented it. And then we also had people like Anna. She was part of the Aspiring Leadership track. I'm pretty sure many of you have top talents programs or aspiring leader programs. And she was looking for the next stretch assignment. And frankly, more visibility. So she happily jumped at the idea. And then we had our managers who wanted to do this well, but were lacking the means, the how. And then what we did, we had the model had three roles: the hosts, who were the speakers, the facilitators, who were the breakout facilitators of the experiential activities, and the participants. So first we had, Nell was here, she was hosting the sessions. Us, the senior leaders, we were the facilitators, and the managers were the participants. And then we rolled it one step down. So us senior leaders, we were hosting each of us separate sessions. Managers were the facilitators, and the ambassadors were the participants. Now, mind you that the senior leaders directly interacted with employees who were volunteers, and vice versa. Okay. And then managers hosting the sessions, ambassadors facilitating, and employees were the participants. So we started rolling out the sessions, and everything went well. Very good feedback, until a month in, our regional executives called me. And he was saying that there was this other country, and they were doing a similar rollout, and they were doing 2 sessions a day, morning, afternoon, had an internal facilitator team, kind of like an option 2, and were wrapped up, ready in 6 weeks. Fast, impressive. And then the question to me was, why aren't we moving faster? And I was standing there. Yeah, I get it. I understand it. We are the slow team. But I understood. And I knew, I trusted our approach, and I believed in it, and we kept continuing. And in a few months, once we finished, it turned out that even though we were slower, our decisions, so our solutions stuck. The change has stuck. And what differentiated us was that we had the senior leaders, each of them hosting separate sessions. They were personalizing the messages, they were sharing their stories. Was this time intensive? Oh, yes. And was this impactful and worth it? Absolutely. And then the volunteers, we were pairing up with the managers and the leaders, amplifying their impact. For the volunteers, the ambassadors, this gave a possibility for great visibility. Remember Anna, who was part of the leadership track? Soon after the workshop, soon after the rollout, she was appointed to a managerial role. And then we had our managers. They weren't just bystanders or listeners. They got engaged. They were teachers, trainers of the message. One of the many feedbacks I received after this rollout was that the managers was from one of the managers, and she said she really understood how culture and strategy come together and work in a tie-out as she was preparing for her session. Yeah, so the managers were translating the messages to their teams and meeting the teams where they were at. And overall, the success was we delivered 104 workshops with 95.2% participation, reaching 3,000 employees in just 4 months. And we reached that with a core team of 14 people, ambassadors, and a larger team, all the volunteers and all the managers of more than 200. But moreover, we saw leaders step up, take ownership, and make culture tangible for their teams. This wasn't just a communication campaign. This was a movement. And as Edgar Schein, the father of corporate and organizational culture, says, you don't change cultures. You invite people into new ways of thinking and behaving. And this is exactly what we did. And after the first year's rollout, we didn't stop. As our CHRO, Mary-Jo Charbonnier, says, organizational culture should have an annual operating plan. And at Kyndryl, we do that. Each year, we're building on the previous year, doing experiential learning activities, like case studies, like business cases, like discussions, and inviting people to experience new behaviors and try themselves out in a safe environment. For us at Kyndryl, the first year was about the Kyndryl way, our full value set. Then next year, it was about 3 behaviors. Then we doubled down on 1 behavior. And this year, we are building habits. Because programs don't change culture. It's the experiences that do. This was one of the many major projects that I've led. Since then, I moved into a global role, and I'm still doing global projects. Culture transformation still belongs to my responsibilities, as is future tech skills. So, you can ask me, Eva, thanks for sharing. Nice story. Congrats. But how does this apply to us? And you have a very valid point there, because this kind of culture transformation, this doesn't happen that often. It comes around like every 10, 20 years, and it can easily be that none of you in this audience faces that at the moment. But there is something that we all together face right now, and that is the AI transformation, which is very much relatable. In my experience, there are 2 kinds of companies at the moment. The ones standing before an AI transformation, and the ones that they are still that are already undergoing it. So which one is yours? Raise your hand. Nope. You know what? No. Blink twice towards me if your company is undergoing an AI transformation. Okay, some people already, some companies already do that. Great. So if you do that, you know that changing the tool set and the skill set is the easier part. Changing the culture and the mindset, that's the harder part. And as our Chief Transformation Officer, Nalakot, says, being tech ready is being people ready. Because skills and technology, they evolve quickly. And that's why, in order to keep pace, we need to empower our people with a culture that supports learning and adaptability. So, ask yourself, and be honest with yourself, you don't have to share. Are your employees, are they ready? Do they have the skill, the adaptability, the curiosity to be ready for the AI age? Are your leaders, are your managers ready to lead, conduct their teams through the AI age? And if yes, great. If not yet, then guess what? I have a model for you. And it's tested, it works, and the model goes like this. First, start with your leaders. If leaders show up, others will follow. Then, treasure your volunteers. Pair them up with leaders and managers to accelerate the moment that they create. And lastly, support your managers, because they are key in translating your cultural vision and messages to your people, to their teams. Make them storytellers, make them teachers of the messages, so that they really meet the teams where they are at and become culture multipliers. Because culture has 3 pillars: people, people, and people. And soon, we'll see teams with humans and AIs combined, and we're going to have the same values, but played with different instruments. So we need to be getting ready for that. Great leaders, they influence their teams, the life of their teams. They shape the careers of their team members, and they are also leaving behind a lasting legacy in music and in taste. Thank you very much.